Let's go.
Your tune really sucks.
You sing it.
That was horrible. I don't know what I did. That was so much. I was just under too much pressure.
Welcome to episode 52 of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. It is an exciting time for us to be joining you guys. The IPL is alive and kicking. We are 3 games in at the time of recording this episode. 3 really interesting results. I think 1 game didn't quite go as excitingly as we'd hoped. 2 a lot more exciting matches. We will get right into all the details and share everything with you. But first, this is Ashwin, your host this week from Cincinnati. Joining me live and in person is my brother Varun. And then DJ, as always, is joining us from London. So, guys, very, very exciting. It feels like we've been waiting for the IPLs for about 11 months, maybe since the last one ended, even though this one started in March, which is earlier than normal. So really exciting stuff. We're going to just talk through basically each of the 3 games. And then as we mentioned before, we have 8 episodes lined up over the next 8 weeks that will be, one has a fan from each team so that we can do a little bit of a discussion on each team. And of course, since all 3 of us are Delhi fans, we decided this one would be the Delhi Capital special episode. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Varun, let's come to you first and ask a little bit about the first match that happened. So the first match of the IPL was CSK versus RCB. A little bit of a strange start to the tournament, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially given all the hype around it and Dhoni versus Kohli. And I think all of us were just too excited. I mean, firstly, I have to say this is genuinely the best time of the year. Ashwin and I were talking yesterday, and this is the first time I'm starting the IPL in the US. So to wake up early morning and watch it, it was almost like comparing it to a Christmas morning. That's the kind of feeling we were getting. But yeah, I think coming to the first game, it was a good build up. But I think I didn't realize that. The last time RCB actually beat CSK, I think Ashwin was telling me, was 10 years ago.
In Chennai, yeah.
In Chennai. Yeah. And I think that the stat that was pretty amazing was that the last time RCB beat Chennai in Chennai, WhatsApp wasn't even around, right? So we read that on Twitter. So that's pretty crazy. But overall, I think Kohli spoke about it, the fact that, he's made some bad decisions in the past or not bad decisions, but certain decisions have caused them to lead into how they have at the IPL, and I just think that's kind of what followed in yesterday's game as well. I don't want to run through too much detail, but RCB 70 all out, Kohli, ABD, felt like a similar story. As we researched more, we saw RCB has got some of the lowest totals ever in IPL history. And for me, what just kind of calls out and sums up the match is the way Dhoni read the pitch and he got his slower bowlers to bowl. And Kohli basically didn't even have any slower bowlers to play. So overall, disappointing start. But the IPL is here and I was excited nonetheless.
So DJ, let me ask you really quickly. From a Bangalore standpoint, I mean, it seems like, and like last week I predicted they'll end up in the Final 4, so it's not looking great for me so far. But it feels like just more of the same, right? Kohli at the helm, Kohli and De Villiers on paper, just a rock solid batting lineup, but then 70 all out. So what happened here exactly?
I have to say it was a bit of a damn squib of a start to the IPL. I was super pumped about it. I went over to another friend's house and I was like buzzing before the game started, and then it just kind of unraveled so quickly, and it was really, it was really, really, really sad and disappointing as a start to the IPL. So it didn't really feel like the IPL had started yesterday. But RCB, they've been such a strange team. They're full of a lot of individuals, not really playing as a team. And I think it's cost them in the last 11 seasons. They've never actually won the IPL. And it cost them again yesterday. And as Varun pointed out, Dhoni read the pitch brilliantly. There's a lot to be said about the pitch and whether it was good for T20 cricket and whether you should be producing pitches for entertainment rather than... You could see that happening in a test match, but for a T20 game, is 120 or 100 a score that the people want to be watching? I don't know. So that's a separate debate, but RCB didn't really quite get going, and once De Villiers and Kohli went, there isn't really very much in terms of fight in that team.
And DJ has given us the line for this week as well. I think he said damn squib. Yeah. So hell from leather. I can't remember
there was something in between, and now we have damn squib.
Damn squib. DJ, I don't know if you're purposely doing this or you're coming up with it on the spot, but it's great.
We should have a section where I do one cricketing expression every week.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let's do that.
Well, okay.
Yeah, so pretty disappointing first match. I think let's chat quickly a little bit about the pitch. So, Varun, one match doesn't make a season, obviously, but we were chatting about this yesterday during the game, and Dhoni has 9 bowling options. including like Bravo and Watson and Kedar, and like not necessarily bad bowling options. Maybe Raina's the weakest of the lot, but 9 bowling options. Is that going to be a huge asset for CSK moving across the various different cities, knowing what kind of pitches can show up?
Absolutely. And let me just add also that I think Ambati is the most useless in the team because he's the only guy who can have a very simple role. But yeah, I think it is definitely going to help. We know Dhoni likes to use his bowlers differently. In fact, Bravo literally bowled only 1 ball yesterday, and we know that he's the guy who can end off an innings well. So yeah, I think CSK just looks the team again to beat this season.
I'm really surprised they actually picked Raidu as the useless guy, and given that Kedar is actually in the CSK team. But anyway.
Yeah.
Kedar, I'm just looking at it, if you had an access and you looked at what facets people have, can they bat, can they bowl? And I mean, let's be honest, Kedar is India's greatest all-rounder after Kapil Dev, right? Even the rankings say that, everything. So, Kedar is India's greatest all-rounder. You heard it here first time.
You've been saying it for weeks.
Yeah.
You've been saying he should open the batting, open the bowling too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just to wrap up on that match, Varun, let me ask you, as we come to kind of the next few stages of the tournament, what does RCB need to do differently, or what are you gonna, if you're Kohli, what are you doing now in the dressing room? This is the 11th or 12th. This is the 12th time this is starting to happen.
I don't know. I think it's too early. It's just too early right now to be able to say what they need to do differently. But I think they need to calm down a bit. They need to probably play as a team more. They need to have certain belief in themselves because they're all individuals with great ability. But I think sometimes what happens is you look towards AB and Kohli to win you the game, and cricket or any sport doesn't work that way. So I think maybe if the Ambanis call them home for a team bonding session, maybe RCB could go to their house and have a great team bonding treasure hunt and roller coaster ride.
That sounds like the solution, and then they can make a documentary.
They can't go to the Malia house now. That's the problem. That's why they're not winning.
That's the issue. Yeah, maybe they go to the Malia, the brewery. I can't remember what it's called, but maybe they just.
The Malia house has been sold.
Malia house has been sold, but
does Malia still own the franchise?
No,
right?
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me wonder how does Kohli get paid?
Somehow, but he's definitely getting paid. If you watch Hotstar enough, you'll realize he's become a mega icon. So he's definitely getting paid.
Don't even start me about Hotstar, man. They 40 minutes of the Delhi match was lost. But anyway, I'm not going to get started on Hotstar.
Let's avoid that tangent and stay focused on the IPL. So pretty disappointing first match, first day. I think as we moved into Saturday, the doubleheader. Sunday is the doubleheader, which we're actually at the time of recording that has just wrapped up. The first match was Hyderabad versus KKR. So interesting result. I think there was a point. Hyderabad batted first, put a pretty decent total on. Davey Warner came back to form, 85 I think he made, deserved a century, just fell a little bit short. And then it looked like KKR was done and dusted, and suddenly out of nowhere came the man Andre Russell and just took the game to a whole different level. So DJ, do you want to walk us through the match in general, highlights and how you felt?
Yeah, sure. So there was a great opening partnership from Dave Warner as well as Johnny Bairstow, who was playing because Kane Williamson wasn't playing because he's got an injury, so he was out. So Johnny Bairstow took the gloves as well as taking the overseas spot. And Warner and him put on 100 plus for the opening partnership. He was going really well. And then Piyush Chawla broke that partnership. As I pointed out, he's in line for the purple cap, according to me. But anyway, moving on.
He took the first wicket of the match, right? First KKR wicket of this year's IPL, I think.
Correct. And Johnny Bairstow was bowled by Chawla. And then Vijay Shankar came out and played a nice little knock of 40. So that's going to do no harm to his World Cup chances. Yusuf Pathan was pretty pointless in his short innings.
He was pretty appalling, man.
But in line with expectations, pretty much, right? Like to make one run and get bowled and then drop a big catch in the field. That's pretty much what we expect from him.
He got a dolly, firstly a dolly in the field for a catch, and
it was I don't remember who it was.
It was a pretty important catch. Yeah. And he got a straight ball that didn't do anything, and he missed completely.
So he's staying completely true to his brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Pathan, I think he's just expecting bowlers to bowl short at him, so he's actually lost out on his strength. Usually, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he would have just hit that ball out of the park, right?
Yeah.
Because anything in his half just used to go out of the park.
It feels like he's like, I made the comment about Stuart Binney where being past his prime, which of course you then proceeded to tell me he's never been in his prime. But I think Pathan really truly is past his prime, and I think we've been saying it for a couple of years. The challenge is, I don't know enough about Hyderabad's squad or depth, but I don't know if they have a good replacement, and the challenge is they could leave him out and he's going to come good 1 in every 7 games, And so it seems to have worked for them so far, that sort of success rate.
Let me just tell you, Deepak Hooda didn't bat. Shakib Al Hasan didn't bat. Rashid Khan, who scored 34 of 10 balls last year against the same opposition, didn't bat. So I don't know why they were sending Yusuf out. Maybe they thought he's going to do a miracle or whatever. Anyway, let's move on from Yusuf, I think. And then the KKR innings was kind of guided very well by Nitish Rana, who was a surprise opening package because Sunil Narine injured his finger, so he didn't actually come out to open the batting. Nitish Rana opened the batting. He batted quite nicely for 60 odd of 40 odd balls, so that was a nice kind of anchor innings. And then that just set the thing up for Andre Russell to just come out and tee off. He scored 49 in 19 balls and took everyone to the cleaners, including one of the best bowlers that India has. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar went out of the park constantly. Shubman Gill pitched in with 18 of 10, and KKR just came from nowhere and won the game with 2 balls to spare, which is just a fantastic performance. And I felt that should have been the opener to the IPL, because that's when I felt like the IPL is back and it's here. The first game, as I said, was a bit disappointing. The second game was amazing. And back to you, Ashwin.
Yeah, I think much needed having come after that first game. But let me ask you about the Hyderabad game really quickly. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar had to step in and be skipper. We talked about this a little bit where you said, hey, I'm not sure if Warner's going to come back and be captain or not. Sorry, DJ and I talked about it last week. But from my perspective, didn't feel like Bhuvi had a great outing as skipper. A few fielding positions that I would have maybe done differently. A few choices like Shakib Al Hasan being saved for the 20th over, it turned out to be irrelevant. But your thoughts on that? How was his first outing? And how do you think he manages in a squad that has both Warner and Shakib, who've both been captains before?
Yeah, so I personally don't want to read too much into that, because Bhuvi is not. He was never in contention for a captain role. I don't think he's in a leadership role. So I think it's a little bit unfair to question his captaincy. I think what happens with Warner is that it's very clear that Warner deserves to play, but it's also very clear that Warner is never going to be put in a leadership position. So Bhuvi kind of just had to step up. And I also want to say, I think when somebody like Russell plays like that, no captain can be able to set a field for the way he played. I mean, he changed the whole game in like 3 balls, the entire momentum. What I do want to say though is, like, Warner, man, he was so good. He just came, put on that orange jersey, and just was ready to go from the first ball.
Felt like he never left. Almost.
Yeah, it really did. It felt like he's never left. In fact, Ashwin and I were discussing how come he's not playing for Australia, and that's when we realized the IPL is actually, it's not April, it's March, because Warner's ban officially ends on 29th March. And so he has another 5 days to go. I personally, I'm not sure if Australia will call him for the series, but maybe IPL is the right practice for him as well. But yeah, it was just amazing to see Warner.
But we still hate him, right?
Oh, we absolutely hate him, but I think I'm now starting to get scared. If Smith performs tomorrow, if Stark comes back, if Warner bats the way he does, this is a pretty scary proposition.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I think more and more DJ may get closer and closer to having to regret his words that Australia has absolutely no chance this World Cup.
He used the word zero.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. DJ, are you going to change that prediction, or are you going to double down again?
Are you going to go to 00?
00. I'm going to triple down on it, because I've already doubled down on it. I mean, it's not looking good, right, for non-Australian fans. I mean, they're coming back all of a sudden and they're striking form at the right time. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, India plays Australia June 9th, so of course we'll be covering lots to do with the World Cup. And it's going to be a very exciting next 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah,
and just as we're speaking, like literally 2 minutes ago, Australia has just won the second ODI against Pakistan by 8 wickets. Pakistan was 284 for 7. They chased it down 285 for 2 with 2.5 overs to go.
Do we know who actually was able to get the runs for Australia?
Yeah, Finch 155, Khwaja 88. So Finch, after all that bad form, suddenly the timing, if it clicks, it's pretty cool.
Does any of you know, has Aaron Finch been picked up by any of the IPL franchises this year, or was he not? Or did he take his name out of contention?
I am not sure, to be honest. I think
they opted out.
I think there's no Maxwell, there's no Finch. They want to focus on the World Cup.
Yeah, so it might be a good call for Australia. So anyway, guys, lots of good discussion. I think 2 interesting matches so far. We're most obviously excited to talk about match 3, which was Mumbai versus the newly named Delhi Capitals. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back right after this and continue on to talking about the third match. All right, we're back, guys. The match that we've all been excited about and excited to talk about. Delhi Capitals, newly named, took on the Mumbai Indians in the Wankhede. And as you know, as of a few minutes ago, at the time of recording this, they've shown up victorious. I think so, won by 30 something runs. Really, really good result. Varun, let me start with you. Just how are you feeling?
Feeling great. I mean, every year we started off by saying this is our year. This is the year we feel it can change. But as Kevin Peterson said, it's a new year, a new season, a new team name, a new jersey. So lots of newness. Let's just hope we don't fall back into the old ways.
DJ, what was your highlight of the match? I mean, there was quite a few things that went well from Delhi's way. First, it was the top order performance both from Dhawan and Ingram, and then of course Rishabh Pant at the end. I mean, I remember we were messaging each other, but the dread that starts to set in when Prithvi Shaw gets out quickly and then Iyer got out soon after. But what was your highlight of the match?
I think it's undoubtedly Rishabh Pant's batting, and particularly his first six that he hit off Bumrah. I think that's going to be one of the shots of the IPL. To hit one of the world's best bowlers for six. And when Pant came in, his first four balls were like dot balls, and he two-ended one, and Kevin Peterson was on commentary and he was going on about how this guy's got only two gears and this and that. He's either hitting completely blocked up or he goes completely mad. And then when he started freeing up, I mean, what an innings, and a complete match winner. He's done his chances at number 4 for India. No harm at all with that innings. And if you remember last time around that he played the Mumbai Indians, he got a 50 as well. So Rishabh Pant's innings, I think, was definitely the highlight. Plus his stumping of Mitch McClenaghan at the end, and I think that may have gone unnoticed of Tewatia, but I thought that was really quick work. It looks like he's really working hard on his keeping. There was quite a Dhoni-esque no give in the hands and a very, very quick stumping of Mitch McClenaghan. So I'm quite enjoying Rishabh Pant at the moment.
Yeah. And what I was saying is, I mean, look, he's clearly not going to keep for India in the next 2-3 months, but he does look like a long-term prospect for wicket keeping for the country. And I think the IPL is great. Just imagine Rishabh Pant is actually keeping against the world's top 3 test bowlers in one team. Rabada, Bolt, and Ishant Sharma. So from an experience perspective, it really can't get better than this.
Yeah, and somebody tweeted at us as well saying this is an incredible test bowling lineup from a fast bowler standpoint. I think it remains to be seen if they can continue on and transfer that form and the skill over to T20 cricket. So let's double click a little bit more on the match. Delhi batted first. Varun, let me ask you, top order, I think we saw Shaw walk out with Dhawan. Pretty exciting to have seen that, but then Shaw obviously perished to going for a big off drive or cover drive of Mitch McClenaghan, edged it to Quinton de Kock. And then Dhawan basically played the role we've been saying he was brought to play, right? So 40 of 30 odd balls.
Absolutely. And both of us were discussing this, that Ashwin said at the start of the innings that Dhawan is basically going to make 40 of 30 balls and going to anchor the innings while everyone else plays around him. And that's exactly what happened. So very clear. For the first time, I think it's very clear thinking from the Delhi Capitals, not Daredevils, team perspective. And what I really like is, I think with Shaw, Iyer and Pant, I think you need somebody who's 10 years more experienced to just talk them through, especially when they're batting. You saw it a little bit with Shaw. I think we definitely saw it with Pant. When Pant came in, I don't know what he was doing for the first 4 balls. In fact, I was very put off, and I was ready to say that this is the reason he doesn't deserve to play for India in the next 2 months. But you could see Shekhar going to him at every opportunity and telling him to calm down. I think plus the fact that Dada is in the dressing room and can call him Shekhar now every day is probably going to help the team morale as well.
I think that's probably the most important thing. Is we all saw Dada come out during the match and give an interview, and it was just something great about seeing him in Delhi colours.
Dude, but what about this jersey, man? The jersey doesn't actually look too bad, by the way.
It looks nice.
Yeah, but I can't tell because today there were like 40 people on the screen.
Yeah. Once against Chennai, we'll be able to tell. But Colin Ingram's baby blue helmet also looked pretty nice, man.
Dude, Ingram rocked it.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the bowling performance. And then after that, I want to spend some time talking about kind of Delhi as a side in the future and the next few games. So, DJ, let me just ask you from a bowling standpoint. On the one hand, you could say good win, 37-run victory. On the other hand, you could say they still gave away 176 runs. So how are you feeling about the bowling performance in general, and what was any standouts for you?
So I think I was pretty pleased with the bowling generally. what I was upset about was the fielding because I thought we were sloppy. There were a few misfields early on. There was one misfield from Shikhar in particular which allowed Yuvraj to get going. It was, I think, the first ball of Aksar's spell. So we need to cut that kind of sloppiness out of our game, really. And there was some good catching, so that was a good sign. The bowling, I really enjoyed watching Rabada. I mean, him bowling at 150 clicks is just something else. And I was hoping to see more of him against Yuvraj because I think he would have just completely knocked Yuvraj over. So good bowling performance. Tewatia seems like a useful spinner as well. So I think he may come into more prominence as the tournament goes on and the pitches get slow and start taking more turn. Bolt and Rabada obviously class performers. Ishant Sharma was a surprise package, so he did pretty well. He took the first wicket and he did pretty well, and he looked up for it. He looked like he really wanted to make a point, and I think he's been quoted in the press as saying he's looking at this IPL as an opportunity to put his hand up for the World Cup. So we'll have to wait and watch whether he actually comes back into the limited overs reckoning. I don't see it happening. But glad to see him back at his home franchise, so to speak. He's from Delhi originally. I think he captains their Ranji team. So I think the Delhi Capitals picking him up is good. And it is a great pace attack. And Akshar, I'm not 100% sure about the role of a finger spinner in today's T20 sides. Maybe he's seen as a little bit of a bowler who can bat as well. And we're looking to add a little bit of depth to our batting with him. But I think he lacks a little bit on the bowling front, but Tewatia might kind of take over that role from him, I suspect.
So just before we got a little bit more in depth into the Delhi and how we got here in the squad, etc., I want to wrap up with this match just chatting a little bit about the Mumbai side. So gave away 213 runs. Every single bowler who bowled had an economy rate higher than 10 and just weren't able to chase it down. I mean, Yuvraj Singh, similar to Pant, started off looking very, very scratchy. Looked like he was really struggling against the pace, but ended up at 53, so pretty good knock in the end. Varun, it's early. We know from the documentary and from history that Mumbai have historically been slow starters. I think 6 years in a row they haven't won their first game. But are these ominous signs for Mumbai, or do you just expect Rohit to come perform and them to bounce back pretty quickly?
No, I think they'll bounce back pretty quickly. I think they do have one of the best sides in the IPL, a strong Indian core with Bumrah and the two Pandya brothers and Rohit Sharma. I think Quinton de Kock is an amazing batsman, and so his entry into the team will really boost them. We've got Pollard down there in the middle. Surya Kumar Yadav had a great IPL. So I think it'll come together. I just hope they haven't watched the last documentary too many times and been put off with the whole thing. But I think it will come together soon.
DJ, what is Miss Ambani saying in the dressing room right now?
I thought they should have promoted Akash and her to come up the order today to give some motivation to the team. Just come out and have a little knock, get a 50-run partnership together. Since they're so into their cricket, man. I don't know what they're going to be saying. I mean, I find it absurd that they're in the dressing room in the first place. So they naturally, I think, going to be quite disappointed, and the players have to think about themselves.
Yeah, fair enough. Varun, last question for you on a more serious note. Which Akash is more annoying during the IPL? Is Chopra or Ambani?
That's a tough one, man, because Chopra is in your face. But Ambani is definitely more irritating. I'm going to go with Ambani, mainly because in the off chance that we do in the future sometime have an opportunity to chat with Akash Chopra, I really don't want him to hear this and the pocket squares and dressed like a shadi. It's too much. So I'm going to go with Ambani.
DJ, same or different answer?
I don't see enough of Ambani, I think, in the IPL itself. And was Akash Chopra actually commenting today on the DDMI game?
You had to go to the Hotstar Hindi feed, which was also pretty fascinating because we're starting to realize there was a glitch with the English commentary for us for a bit. So we went to the Hindi feed, and it's pretty fascinating because it's almost all English words just written in Hindi. They're written free hit and run rate.
There was one great sentence that they spoke in the Hindi commentary, which was batsman ki hand-eye coordination achhi thi. Now, is that a Hindi sentence or an English sentence?
It's
because
more
batsman,
than 50% English.
hand-eye coordination, more than 50% were English words. Then we were thinking of what's the Hindi version of it. And we could just come up with haath aur aankh ka melan. बल्लेबाजों के हाथ और आंख के मेलन बहुत अच्छे थे.
Which basically means the hand and eye are together.
Yeah.
The togetherness of hands and eye, which is not the same as coordination. But anyway.
So there was a point at which Sanjay Manjrekar, I think, slipped into Hindi commentary, so he got his stints mixed up.
Yeah, he started in Hindi. I mean, there's a few commentators. You notice Manjrekar, Gavaskar, and I think it's just the two of them who seem like they're always commentating, because as soon as they leave the English room, they go to the Hindi room and then they come back. And Manjrekar definitely forgot which room he was in after the over, started speaking in Hindi, and then paused. Somebody tapped him on the shoulder, or he looked over and saw Hayden across from him looking confused.
Hayden's like, "Kya kar rahe ho, yeah?"
Yeah. So it was entertaining. Good start to the IPL overall. Guys, I want to talk a little bit more about Delhi, and let's get some of your thoughts. So, Varun, let's start with you. Is this the 11 for you this year?
I'm not sure. I think I was very disappointed that Sandeep Lamichhane was left out. I think he's been kind of wreaking havoc on leagues all over the world, and at the IPL in India, for him to not play was very disappointing to me. Having said that, I think Rabada and Bolt are needed. I think Ingram is needed. So I think the only person who's going to end up switching a little bit is Kimo Paul. And let me put it this way. I think this was the right starting 11 to play, because you needed a backup hitter, and that has kind of been Delhi's problem as well. So I would like to see Sandeep playing a little bit more. I think people like Munro are going to have a tough time in this 11. And I don't know, Ashwin, what are your thoughts on Shafin Rutherford?
Yeah, so the big hitting West Indian all-rounder as well. I think Kimo Paul just obviously edged him out today. I think that's going to be the case for the next little bit. But it's that good option to play at 6 or 7 who can bat and give you a few overs as well. DJ, how about you? What is your thought? Some of the other players we've mentioned that obviously didn't show up in the 11 against Mumbai today were Amit Mishra, Hanuma Vihari, and then there's some of the younger guys, Ankush Bains, Manjot Kalra, and then obviously, as Varun mentioned, Sandeep Lamichhane. So is this the right 11 for you?
So I see the two spots that are going to come under threat are going to be Kimo Paul's spot, because I think Chris Morris will come in for him, just being the more experienced, and he's a big hitter as well, remember that. So unless Kimo does something amazing before Morris joins the Delhi Capitals, I think his spot is going to be under scrutiny. And Akshar Patel, I think, is going to be the other one, with Amit Mishra not playing and Lamichhane not playing. I would rather play Lamichhane than Akshar, as I don't see the utility of a finger spinner. And we saw how many runs he went for today, right? And before he got a wicket of Hardik. But I mean, Yuvraj just took him to the cleaners in that 1 over. And I don't think he adds enough, so to speak. And Lamichhane, as Varun said, has been doing really well all over the world. And he's a little bit of an icon in the T20 world at the moment. And we've got him, and I can't see why we're not unleashing him on the IPL. And he did really well when he played last year as well. So I think I'm a little disappointed at that. Tewati, I think, has done really well. So I'd keep him. His catching is very good, so he seems like a decent shout there as well. So those are my few thoughts on the squad. I think I'm generally okay with it. As you said, I don't see Colin Munro coming in anytime soon at the top of the order, unless there's an injury. And Shikhar, I think, was just brilliant, and we've got him for just the right role to kind of anchor the innings and just pace it while you've got these massive hitters around him, and everyone else can bat around him.
Yeah, thanks. I think insightful and lots of good discussion there. I think from my perspective, the only thing I feel a little bit differently to you guys is, so what we noticed from both sides today is Mumbai also left out Markanday, and that was a surprise for me as we were going in. They chose to play the young 17-year-old quick bowler Salam. But so I think it was obviously something to do with the pitch. You could see from the cameras too that it was very green. So Delhi went with 3 full-time quick bowlers, and Mumbai had 4 actually, if you include Ben Cutting. So from my perspective, I agree with you guys that Lamichhane needs to play. I think if you bring him in at the cost of an Akshar Patel, then your 6 and 7 get weak, right? From a batting standpoint, you don't have Kimo Paul would lose the overseas slot, and then Akshar Patel, if you don't have a finger spinner. So the reason those 2 players slot in at 6 and 7 is because their ability to bat. So for me, actually, I think unless something drastically changes, I imagine Trent Bolt actually is going to lose his spot. He went at over 10 runs and over today. Looks, has for the last few years, looked a bit shaky in T20 cricket. I mean, he's an absolute beast in Test match cricket, but has not quite looked that strong in T20 cricket. For me, the bowlers will be, I think Ishant is going to keep his spot, at least for the next little bit. Rabada comes in or keeps his spot as a quick bowler. Lamichhane comes in for Trent Bolt, and then you keep the what? Yes, you got your 2 spin options. That allows you to play Kimo Paul / Chris Morris, and then it allows you to be flexible with Akshar Patel. Let's remember, Colin Ingram can bowl a few overs too, and he can be that kind of part-time off spinner, finger spinner. So you don't necessarily need Akshar Patel to play that role. All right, guys. Varun, next match is against Chennai Super Kings. So 2 victorious sides from the early start of the tournament. Delhi doesn't have a great record against Chennai. I mean, to be honest, most sides don't have a great record against Chennai, just given how successful they've been. How are you feeling that one will go? Predictions, and what would you do to the side?
I think Chennai will take it. I think no doubt in admitting that. And I just hope that Delhi is in this tournament throughout, right? I think the aim should be to end at number 4. And for that, you need to pick who you're trying to beat. I think against Chennai, you got to be taking the experience more than anything else. There's such an experienced side. I personally don't think there's going to be too many changes to this. I think what you actually said is correct. I think Bolt and Lamichhane are the ones who are going to have to swap. Yeah. And depending on the pitch, I don't know if it's in Chennai. I think
Bolt it's in Delhi. It's at the Kotla.
Okay, it's at the Kotla. So yeah, I think that could be the only change.
Got it. DJ, what's your prediction for that game?
So I think Chennai will take it again just because of experience, but I think it'll be a close game. Delhi will be looking forward to playing at home. I'm hopeful for Delhi. I mean, Pant is obviously in good form. Iyer looked good while in the short time that he was there. Prithvi Shaw looked fantastic as well for the very short time that he was there. Shikhar looked great. I see the batting doing well. Where I think we're going to struggle a little bit is with the bowling towards the end. We saw, as you said, rightly said, actually, Trent Bolt just seems to lose the plot a little bit, and he doesn't kind of seem to know how to get wickets in T20 cricket. He's an amazing test bowler, but he keeps sliding it down the leg side again and again, and it doesn't really swing for him as well. I don't know whether it has to do with dew or something else, but you haven't seen him get that kind of success that he's had in one-day cricket as well as test cricket and T20 cricket. The only thing I'd like to actually see is if we are playing, I genuinely think Amit Mishra should play instead of Akshar Patel because they probably bring the same level of batting. I don't see Amit Mishra being a worse batsman. He's got a test 50. He actually, Varun once confused him for Sachin, if you remember earlier on the podcast. Varun did say that.
Yeah.
At the Oval, right? When 2011.
At the Oval, I was watching from far and I thought Sachin that shot and it was actually Amit Mishra.
Yeah, so Mishra is a competent batsman. I don't think Akshar Patel actually adds that much. And Mishra is an amazing bowler in T20 cricket. I think he's got 2 hat-tricks in IPL games.
Yep.
3 maybe even 3. Yeah, he's an amazing T20 bowler, and I think he should play instead of Akshar Patel. That would be the one change I would make. So an Indian swap for an Indian spinner for an Indian spinner, and then I think you're right that if Lamichhane has to play, he might take Bolt's spot, and either Morris will play instead or Kimo Paul will play. So, but Morris isn't here yet, so I think Kimo Paul plays for the next one. If we have to get Lamichhane in, it depends on the track, and it's going to be in Delhi, which has taken turn previously, and it's quite a difficult place to bat. So you might see him instead of Bolt.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, my only thought on that one is it's probably being a little bit harsh on Akshar Patel's batting abilities and a little bit generous to Amit Mishra's. I mean, Akshar averages 39, almost 40 in first class cricket and 22, 23 in T20s. Mishra averages 21 in first class cricket and 13 in T20s. And it's worth noting in Akshar, across 84 innings in T20s, he strikes at also about 130. So didn't do well today, but I think they have obviously seen him more in the role of an all-rounder than just a spinner. I think if he was just picking an out-and-out spinner, he wouldn't make the cut. So something to think about.
Yeah, but I guess you've got to weigh up the runs that he's going to score against the runs he's going to give away and the wickets he's going to take, right? Yeah. So that's the only toss-up that I would see.
Absolutely.
And if it comes down to those two, I don't think the game is going our way anyway.
All right, guys. Great summary. Good discussion about Delhi. The last thing I want to chat is just get from you guys at the end of 3 days, the first episode during the IPL, a little bit about your perspective on fantasy cricket and some tips. So the big scorers so far were Harbhajan Singh in the first game, and then you had Rishabh Pant and Andre Russell, and then obviously some good contributions by Nitish Rana, Yuvraj Singh, etc. So DJ, let's start with you. What's your one tip or a piece of advice on fantasy cricket?
Thanks for starting with me. My only tip would be don't ever pick any players that I have in my fantasy team. I think I'm currently 44th out of 48 people in the Edges and Sledges league. So I think this has genuinely been my worst start ever in fantasy. I've only got points for players participating. I think Bumrah taking a wicket was my first point for any wickets. And none of my players have scored more than 7 runs. I think Prithvi Shaw scored 7. So please don't do anything that I'm doing. Would be my number one tip.
So I'm actually 34th as well. So maybe I should skip myself and go to our man Varun, who's 8th in the Edges and Sledges League, so out of 48. So first off, 7 of our listeners are beating us. So that's always the reason we say this is the fan take on cricket, right? We don't claim to be experts any more than any of the rest of you guys. So really great stuff by the top 7 players so far. But number 8, what is your tip for success?
I don't know. My tip is, I think this is a different season, so I'm also figuring it out as we go. It's a different rules. I think all of us are very disappointed with the overall Dream 11 and BCCI collaboration. We're used to a much more intense fantasy season. So all I'll say is try to watch the games for the first week or so. Try to get a sense of who is definitely going to play and keep them in your team. Also remember that people who have some sort of a dual role, like whether you're a wicketkeeper batsman or an all-rounder or a part-time bowler, I think you've got maximum chances there.
Or Tewatia, who apparently can take 4 catches in the outfield.
And got as many points as Rishabh Pant, apparently, for hitting 78 of 27. So the scoring system is a little bit messed up this time. So just keep active, keep watching how it's going. And yeah, on fantasy, I definitely want to call out that I think somebody asked Rashid Khan. I can't remember who asked.
It was Sanjay Manchak.
It was Murli Karthik, I think. He asked him, would you put yourself in your team?
No, they said, do you play fantasy? And Rashid was like, no, I play the real thing.
I mean, I'm the subject of the fantasy.
Yeah, like, I'm the subject of fantasy. Then they're like, okay, if you were playing fantasy, would you put yourself in the team? He's like, well, if you're asking me hypothetical dumb questions, then yes, I would pick myself and I'd open the batting and open the bowling. So,
when I got out, I'd take my bat and I'd go home. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Why do I have to stay there?
So,
all right. Yeah, I mean, just to wrap up, I don't know if I should be giving tips from 34th, but let's hope that doesn't last. My quick point of view is don't write off the older guys. And I've said this many years, and I still continue to write off the older guys, but I don't think in my wildest dreams I would have picked Harbhajan Singh. And then obviously 3, and you did,
yes,
Varun.
Did.
Yeah. So, but 3 wickets and man of the match. So, don't write off the older guys.
And that is completely backfired on me. I picked Watto as my vice captain and Sunil Narine as my captain. Narine didn't bat, didn't take a wicket, got smashed. Watto got a duck and 2 catches.
And might I also add, DJ, just for your benefit, in our own private league, I think out of 20 people, I am number 3. So, hashtag consistency is key.
Let's see if it stays up. 3 games into 56. Lots and lots left to go. So we'll see how that goes. All right. That brings us to the end of episode 52 of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining us, for listening, for sending in your questions. We love interacting with you on Twitter. Send us a message on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Our handle is @OneTipOneHand, the number 1 tip, the number 1 hand. And, you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. We really enjoy hearing from you. Join us back for next week's episode, when we'll be deep diving into another IPL team and obviously recapping everything that's happened in the week since then. So again, thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.